Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so I hereby call this meeting to order. One of the first things we need to do is find a volunteer to take the minutes. And the other folks, you know who you are.
I'm not it. Jay's not it.
I know you're not it, that's why.
JP's got his hand raised.
Okay.
Brendan?
JP.
Either way, JP or myself, I don't care. Whatever.
Where's JP? Oh, wait a minute.
Hello, Brendan.
Ah, there he is. Okay. Okay, because now everybody's in a line at the
raised
top,
my hand,
and I have to keep hitting a button to
catch us.
Joe, do you have a thing at the top of your screen that says gallery view? Can you see anywhere on your screen where it says gallery view?
yes, hit
Click
that
that.
button. Okay, now,
Oh,
it's a good thing I didn't use profanity, but now I see everybody.
we would have not admitted you if that happened.
Would have been bounced. I'll have to remember that for future meetings.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it possible to share a screen?
Yep. Do you want to do
Sure.
that, JP, or
I'm sorry?
Would
did you
like
want
to
to
do that?
square? Hang on. Did you want to share something, JP?
I had a few notes and it might be helpful to.
Okay, I'll make you co-host
at some
then.
point.
I'll make you co-host.
But you got to hold my hand through this, Peg, because I've never.
You'll be fine.
You could raise the volume a little on your mic if you can.
Let's see.
You're quieter than the rest of
I
us.
don't know if that helps. Does that help?
Not much.
How about another two notches?
Well, we're at 100% there. Let's see.
Oops.
Does that help at all? No.
We'll just
Okay.
have to listen very closely.
Can you
Yeah, I
hear me
noticed
now?
that at last night's meeting too. I was like, is JP talking?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah. All right. So JP, you're going to take the minutes?
I will take minutes, yes.
Okay, take it away, Joe.
I believe the next item, now that we've got a note taker, public speak. So do we have anyone who wishes to address the group? Going once? Going twice?
Jack, please don't put me on Facebook if you really want to speak and I don't let you, so clap or something so I know you don't want to speak. Oh, now he's going to ignore me. Okay, that's probably wise. Thank you. Thanks, Jack. Okay, no public speak.
Okey doke. Let us now review, like a church service, let us now review the minutes from the previous meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look them over?
Yes.
Yep.
Does anyone have any revisions or modifications or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Hang on a sec.
Oh,
There were a couple that jumped out at me. So it looks like Jen is here.
well, what we can do, Joe, is we make a motion to approve and then we get a second and then you can make a motion to amend.
To amend?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So
So,
motion to
yeah.
approve, I'll make that.
Second.
Okay. Now, Joe, if you'd like to make a motion to amend.
I'd like to move to amend the minutes of the previous meeting.
In what way?
Just two things. And Jay, I thought you did a great job in terms of being right on the money and brevity and, you know, and the tone struck me as really, you know, sounded good. I think there's toward the bottom of the page, there's an item that says the discussion around side of the abatement. Should that be size of the abatement?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so that was the first one. And then the second one was when you have the motion to adjourn, actually, as the chair, I think I was the chair of that meeting, I can't make a motion myself, but I asked somebody to make a motion so we could adjourn. And I believe there was some discussion, and then it was Jen who ultimately made that motion. So if you could, if the minutes could be amended to show that she was the one who did that.
Oh, that's impressive.
That is.
Oh, I guess I read them.
Well, I didn't go into that much detail, so good on you, Joe.
Well, I mean,
I
it's
second the motion to amend.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those approve? Raise a hand.
Peg approves.
Don't we have to do a roll call on this?
Yeah. Peg Coniff approves.
Okay.
Kuczynski,
Stan
aye.
Diamond approves.
Brendan approves?
Yep,
JP did, Jay did, Joe did, Brendan did, and
Jen.
Jen did.
Jen approves, okay. All right. So let us proceed now.
Hang on. Motion to approve because we had to do the amendment. Yes, we did. Now it's motion to approve the minutes as amended. I will make that motion. Oh, wait, it's already made. So we'll do another roll call vote on the full minutes. I know it's a pain in the ass, but we got to do it.
Kuczynski, aye.
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 Peg Coniff, aye.
Aye.
Jay, so all ayes, all the way across.
Aye, aye. Okay, are you ready for,
So
are you
good.
ready for some football?
Do it.
Okay, let us proceed then to old business. I think at the last meeting, we had a number of things that people were going to dig into, and perhaps we might use Jay's the minutes of the meeting as a guide to that. So, okay, Jen, I think you're going to be up for a long time, so.
Okay, I had to wait for the plane to go by so you wouldn't have to hear it.
Okay.
So I don't have the minutes in front of me, but in terms of what I've found out, so I looked at Northampton. I spoke with one of the women that I have a connection with there, and they allow 125 hours for their seniors. They pay $1,500, not pay, but they give them the credit of $1,500 less any withholdings, because we have to, I think we talked about it last time, that we have to withhold the statutory taxes.
Right.
They have 20 slots. And one thing I noticed that, is a good idea if we kind of grow this in the future is they do 20 slots for seniors and 10 slots for veterans. So I thought that was a good, a reach too. And then I was also, the wheels were turning, and I was thinking, well, that could get Brendan some help from Mike Slater, our vet services guy, in terms of kind of wrapping their arms around the program if we go that route.
Sure.
And I'm just looking through my notes here. In Northampton, they all receive W-2s, but one thing that I did email our payroll rep, but it was like yesterday, and she hasn't gotten back to me yet, is like, as city employees, we have a time clock system, like on the computer. And so it's through a company called Harper's Payroll, and Harper's is the one who creates our W-2s. So my thought was, couldn't we set up a category for the senior tax work-off program, like as an earnings code, and then just have them, you know, we would have to show them, you know, how to log in. It's not hard. It's a matter of clicking on a button that says clock in. You know, so it's not that hard. But then that would kind of automate the administrative side of things. I have to talk to our payroll company, because the one thing I would have to look into is, like right now we have a pay group for city employees, a pay group for school employees, and a pay group for the retirement board. So if we had to set this up separate, there would be a cost associated with that.
Okay.
If we could add them as like employees, but with like a, let's say a employee number that started with S for senior work off or something along those lines, then that's kind of a way to get around that. But I don't want it to skew our payroll reports. So that's kind of, you know, something that I'd have to see if the cost would be worth it if it had to be separated out.
Okay.
You know,
Can you clarify one thing for me in terms of, I guess I'm not really straight on, you know, when we talk about 1099s and W-2s, that you fill out the W-2 when you start working there, right?
No, you fill out a W-4 when you start working.
It's a W-4, okay.
Yeah, the W-4 is what tells your employer what percent of the taxes, you know, if you're going to file single, married, whatever.
Right, okay.
The W-2 is your yearly income record that you get at the end of the year that you use to file your taxes.
Okay, so then under what circumstances would somebody get a W-2 versus a 1099?
$600 is the threshold. If you make over $600 up to, and I don't know the up to amount, but it's like from 600 to a certain amount, you get a 1099, and then after that point, it would have to be a W-2.
You get a W-2, okay.
Yes. And I mean, 1099s are easier on us because then it's just a matter of reporting what the income was, but it makes it more tedious for the participant because they have to then give that to their accountant. And I mean, a lot of these people probably, you know, either are exempt from filing or don't really have much to file, I guess is probably the best way to say it. But so they would end up having to pay taxes on the money associated with the 1099. If it's less than 600, they don't have to have anything. Brendan?
Jen, I just got a quick question going back to Harper's.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great idea, but I'm just kind of curious if, like, say if I was administering the program and I'm, you know, putting in time, or maybe they're clocking in rather, would that fall underneath with all my other employees on my account, or would it be a separate account under Harper's?
Well, that's kind of like what I was reaching out to Harper's for, because ideally it would be nice if there were some way to differentiate in the current system between a senior or tax work-off employee and regular employee. Because, like, for instance, if I had one volunteer in my office, then it makes sense for that person to appear under my payroll, so that when I'm approving my biweekly payroll, you know, I have my current employees and then this whomever the volunteer is, so that I can see, oh, okay, yep, they were here for, you know, 4 hours this week, and I approve, and that's that. Because really, other than if department heads reported to you, or if you had all of the participants giving you a timesheet every week, there'd really be no way for you to know everyone's hours unless they're working in the, in the Council on Aging. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. So like each department head, whoever has the program. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah. To me, that makes the most sense. I don't know. In a perfect world, we'll be able to do it that way. I have my doubts, but
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Harper's is a weird system.
Yeah,
Anyway.
definitely is. All right, what else did I find out? Hang on.
The other items, Jen, that were on the minutes were you were going to look into a grant potentially to do a pilot, and then you were going to kind of run the numbers to see what the fiduciary implications would be.
Right. So as far as the grant goes, I didn't get a lot of information. The grant that I was looking at was like, I think I kind of detailed it a little bit. It's a grant that we've gotten before. It's actually what paid for the budget book changes, like the change to the format of the budget, and mainly it's kind of like I said, it's a grant for like if municipalities want to introduce a new program, it's kind of like to get that off the ground. I didn't find anything on the website about if it would be eligible for something like this, and I guess my concern is that we're defraying taxes, so I really want to ask the right people the question of, obviously if we can't, they'll just deny the grant, but it'd be nice if we could, at least to do a startup, like kind of like we said, do a pilot, maybe if we can get that paid for at least, then we can see, what the need is and the interest. But I didn't find anything on the website. I was hoping that I would, because calling is a tedious task, which I will certainly do, but I did not have time to do this week. So, but that's something that I wouldn't hang our hats on it, but it'd be great if it could come to fruition. And then as far as the numbers, I was playing around with the recap today, and the thing is that there's so many variables. So I know we had talked about, like, if we do, like, I did a calculation of 20 participants at $1,500. So that's $30,000. But we could do 40 participants at $500. But then if we do that, there's no administrative costs because it's 500. So the pricing is, or the impact, not the impact, the overall figure, I guess, can be as high as we want or as low as we want. And quite frankly, with the amount of taxpayers in Easthampton, like $30,000 added to, not added to, because it's really not, but spread out among the people who are paying their taxes who aren't participants in this program, would barely be a bump in the road. I mean, I think I calculated $5 on like a $200,000 assessed property. Yeah, $5 for the year. So, and I don't know.
For the entire program.
For the year, yes. Well, for the tax year for that entire program, exactly.
Did you happen to break it down into a single family taxpayer, a total taxpayer?
Well, the problem that we run into with that is I'm going to have to make a lot of assumptions. I'll gladly do it, but I mean, we have people who have a high assessed value, who pay a significant amount of money. And I mean, I think it came out to like 0.1002% increase for each person.
That's probably a good figure to use, 0.1002% increase. Okay.
Right.
Sort of like 0.1%.
Right. Yeah. And, so it's not astronomical. I think that what I can do, and I was hoping to do it for tonight, but trying to nail down what to use as like our median and all that was more difficult than I thought. But I
really like the 0.1% increase. That I think will.
Yeah, and that's kind of, there we go. What are we looking at?
If I can make it bigger, it's basically,
Or I can put my glasses on.
it's kind of what you were talking about. I just put it into a spreadsheet.
Yep. Yep. So the amounts and then hours at 12:50.
It was kind of just random.
Mhm.
But yeah, I had 20 people. The worst case would be 30,000, 30 people, 45,000.
Right. Right. If you, is this in the Google Drive?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Because what I'll do is I'll grab that and I will add, I can add some, I can copy it and then add some columns, to show the effect based on which option we go with, but also, kind of throw it out there like, okay, if your house is valued at 150,000, this is the increase you would see. If it's valued at 400,000, this is the increase you would see, just so that, we can kind of get an idea of what we'll be dealing with, in terms of complaints.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, because I think, those are the data points that I think are absolute musts when we go to pitch this. That impact on the rest of the taxpayers, the impact to our assessments, all of that stuff is going to be important.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oops.
There was one other thing I was just going to say. Now it's escaping me.
While you think about this,
Yeah.
the
Even
1250
the numbers we're talking about would be,
rate for 2021,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Maybe
you.
we can hardly hear you.
the 1250 an hour, will that be can you hear me now?
Yep.
better.
Will that be the actual rate in 2021 for minimum wage?
No, it will go up.
What will it be? I think we should,
13.
identify that and use those.
It's
those
1290 or is it over 13?
I thought it was 13 now.
Oh, I just kind of threw this number in there. I don't.
Yeah. Let me look.
I spoke with Lincoln, Mass, and they have a pretty robust senior tax work-off program.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things they had cautioned me about was making sure that while writing up the senior tax work-off program to include language about cost of living increases, because they said it can get really messy later on if, for example, you get a cost of living increase and then you have to then go back after they've already served out their maximum hours. You might end up, taking away from them in a way, So they said it would be really wise as we're working this in that we include that language to make sure that the person who's applying for the program knows that at some point when a cost of living comes around and we get this little bump that we have to adjust the hours, and they will probably, will obviously lose some hours, from their original maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cap is always going to be what the cap is. Everything else adjusts as it changes, but the end number is always going to be the end number, right? So hours times pay will be the variables.
Right.
So here's a little bit of food for thought. January.
I can't see who was talking. I'm sorry. I think it was Brendan.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
On the screen, I can't see you. So
I'll close the.
So the minimum wage as of January 1st, 2021 is going to be $13.50. Right now it's $12.75. For January 1, 2022, it's $14.25. January 1, 2023, it's $15.
And the difference between $13.50 an hour and $15 an hour for $1,500 is 11 hours. So I think it makes a lot of sense to just start it off at $15 an hour, and then we're not going to have to worry about it for the next 2 years.
I don't think we can set the pay though. I think, do we have to, can we?
I think
I'm not sure that we can.
no less than the minimum wage. I think it said. I'll pull it
I
up.
think it,
Okay, well, maybe. Cool.
yeah, I think it just said no less than the minimum wage.
Okay, good.
I
That's
think
not a
that's
bad idea.
correct.
Peg, I'm sorry. What was my other thing that I'm?
I think, and then the only other thing was the Northampton thing. So you had Northampton, the grant, and running the numbers, as far as I recall.
And I mean, kind of in doing, like, in looking into this and talking to people and stuff, I mean, I want to talk to our assessor, Lori, and I want to see if, and actually, JP, you might have gotten some of this information when you were looking into the senior
CPA tax exemption.
Yes, because I want to find out how easy it would be or how difficult it would be for her to, like, run a report for me that would show, you know, how many senior taxpayers we have and what the average senior taxpayer bill is. And, you know, because the way I'm looking at it is like, and I know we've talked about this before, there's a difference, a lot of difference between what we have to do for people if we're giving them $500 versus what we have to do if we're giving them $1,500.
Administratively, you mean?
Yes. And again, if Harper's, you know, if it's easy enough to throw that into Harper's and that's, you know, not an issue, then that's fine. But that's something that if Harper's can't do it and it's going to be more manual than we're thinking, that's a cost that we're going to have to report as well when we bring this to council in terms of what the, you know, what the indirect costs will be of the current staff manning the program.
Peg, you were right. I just reread it. It's shall not be paid more than the current minimum wage. So it's not the minimum wage.
And Jen, what did you say it was going to be in January of 2022?
1425.
Yeah.
1425? Okay. I'm going to build the model that way.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let me see if I have anything else in my notes here.
There was some reference to Scanlon, the outside auditors.
Yes, and mainly what I got from them was pretty much what we read everywhere, which, you know, was kind of just, they kind of were quoting me the general law. And, you know, they just agreed that, you know, if we give over the 600, then there's more reporting to deal with it. They said that there's a lot of municipalities that do it, that they audit. You know, I don't know, they kind of, honestly, they didn't seem to have a whole lot of information, but in thinking about that, I mean, they audit finances of the cities, and this, other than being part of the overlay, doesn't really play into like the city finances in terms of what they audit. So after thinking about it, I was like, well, yeah, they probably wouldn't get into the nitty gritty of the program. So, but they were happy to give me names of, you know, anybody we wanted to get in touch with in terms of other municipalities. But I know we were pretty good in that respect with Peg's list. So that they didn't have much to offer.
Okay, so with $14.25 an hour, from the low end of $300, it's about 21 hours, and from the high end of $1,500, it's about 38 hours. That's not a huge, well, it's almost double. So that's weird. Maybe my math is wrong. That doesn't feel right.
If we're going to do a pilot test, we necessarily the first year would have somewhat less than what we would have a full load going forward, say 3 years after that. I mean, so we could be talking about 10 people or a dozen people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that could probably be a good, like, selling point to the mayor, like let us do this, with just 10 people, the impact would not be as great. My suggestion would be, in a pilot situation, to just do the $500. Keep it under 6 so that it's there's no 1099s, there's no W-2s, there's no setting any of that up, and just strictly see what kind of interest we get from people who are eligible to participate. Right.
Yep.
And, if we open 10 slots and we get 100 applications, then we need to kind of look at that and say, okay, well, if there's 100 people willing to do this, then maybe we want to go with 50, but we also want to stay at this dollar limit. You know what I mean? So I think that, I think doing it like a pilot is kind of the first ask. And then,
yeah, the other side of doing it as a pilot is when we go out to the department heads, and basically explain to them that this is all part of a pilot test, that, this is the concept that we're going under, but it's not like it's all going to be set in stone. And, there's going to be an opportunity for us to learn from the department heads' experiences and hear from them.
Right.
Is there any possibility that at least for the first year, the pilot program, we could tap into any of our current community development grants to pay for it? Because it seems like this would fall under a community development rubric.
The ones that Jeff Bagg has, the community development block grants, or?
Well, any of the community development funding that we have, might we be able to request that some of it be set aside for the first year of this program, and then we'll know how we need to adjust in the future?
I'd be happy to ask Jeff about that and see what his thoughts were, if you'd like me to.
Or some other grant, that's out there. I was thinking community development, but I mean, there are others out there that we might be able to get a small.
And I think that's a great point, because CDBG money, a certain amount of it needs to go to low mod housing, right? We've got 96 people in Easthampton that qualify for this another funding. I can't remember the exact section of it, but it's basically for extremely poor folks who need tax relief. The increase that we saw above and beyond the cost of the new school is way more than this $500. So I just want to go back, Jen, your idea of hey, let's make it easy to begin with. I see the validity of that, but 2 reasons I'm against it. One, the actual tax increase that these 96 people have experienced has been way more than that $500. And the other side of that is, I'd hate to do it as like a bait and switch, where we say, hey, look how easy this is. And then the next year we want to increase it. And then everybody says, oh, we can't do that.
Okay, understood.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I understand for administrative purposes why it would be great to leave it under the 600. And if we go beyond the 600, it means probably we're going to have fewer people on the program, I would assume, right?
What? I didn't hear that.
Oh, no. I was just starting to think about like the differences of keeping it under the 600 versus outside of the 600 range. Mm-hmm. And if we increase it beyond the 600, we would, I'm assuming, have a fewer amount of people who are going to be eligible for the program, or fewer slots, that is.
Right.
And then the question that I wonder is, if you have it below 600, as far as like reaching out to department heads and setting up consistent work, that might be kind of tricky, if they have such a small amount that they're going to be working off of, and X amount of hours. So I'm not sure, I understand, like I said, for the administrative purposes, but I think for department heads to kind of, make an incentive for them to go forward with this, I'm assuming that if they're going to set up a position and take the time to train somebody potentially for a position, that they might not want to go through all that hassle if someone's only going to be there for 20 hours for the year, that might be a tricky sell for some department heads, maybe. But
But it's also possible that the department head, going in the following year, this gives them an opportunity to look somebody over, and they don't have, it's not like you're going to hire them. It's sort of like a trial thing because it's all under the guise of a pilot test. So they could have the opportunity and not have to pay a whole lot of money to take a look at somebody and say, okay, is there some potential here? And then if they feel there's potential, then in the following year, they could request that so-and-so come back and work in their office, perhaps for, more hours.
How would you like to have somebody work, let's see, and earn $1,200 up to $1,200 and not pay any federal income taxes? Sound good?
I didn't hear the end of that.
And not pay any federal income taxes. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? How about this plan? If
Is
in
it
our
legal?
I certainly would want to run it by an accountant to be sure, but I think it kind of makes sense. Let's say we start, the city runs in a fiscal year, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tax system runs in a calendar year. We start the program in
1,200.
October, November, December. They work the first $600. That's it. The second half is earned in the second half, and you get your pilot program started up to 1,200 without it. Now, I don't know. It sounded pretty interesting to me. How does it sound to everybody else?
I think I'm done.
Make it so, Jen. Run those numbers.
Yeah. I want to check
You're
with the
you're splitting the impact between 2 tax years.
Yeah.
So, let's do it.
Is
Done.
is that going to be a record-keeping issue for anyone, department head?
I mean, it's based off the calendar year. I don't know.
I don't really see that it would be. I don't know. I'm trying to think through the process in my head.
I
I
like
guess
it.
I would just talk to Lori about how the exemptions applied to their bills and just make sure that we wouldn't run into any trouble with, because the bills are odd how they go out. Like, even though it's based on calendar year, like
Tax bills, yeah.
you're not paying, right? You're not paying for like when I get my tax bill, I'm not paying for right now. So I would definitely have to look at the details of it and see if we could do that and, not be trying to fly under the radar and get in trouble.
Absolutely. We want to do it in an upfront sense,
Right.
and have the work be completed during the time period of the calendar year so that there wasn't the tax obligation. And I think you're right to check on how we pay it. If we could somehow adjust in the first quarter or the second quarter the money, and then adjust in the third or fourth quarter, that would certainly take care of it, I would think. But I think that becomes a detail and gives us some additional flexibility with the program.
And who's done a lot of vetting of this is Northampton. Like, they have done a lot of deep diving, and whoever is, who's their finance person over there, Jen, do you know?
Susan Wright?
I feel like
Their treasurer is Kristen.
I think I talked to Susan.
You talked to Sue. I talked to her also.
Yeah. Maybe and the other thing is, with all these communities that are doing it, it might be interesting to have some deeper conversations with those finance people or those folks who are running it to figure out how they bridge this hurdle. Because I got to think, if it's doable, somebody's done it, and we got to find who they are.
Yeah.
Maybe they're out there. I haven't found them yet. I did discover somebody who I won't mention, and I think they have $1,000 program, and I don't know. Maybe they do what I suggested, but they didn't share that with me. So,
well, that would only work in the first year unless you didn't have.
It would only work in the first year. So, but it would help our pilot. The same people wouldn't be eligible to work in the first half of the next
following
fiscal year.
Yeah.
but they could join again in the next calendar year.
Mhm.
So something I think to look into.
Yep.
Okay, did we have any other questions for Jen, or have you been on the hot seat long enough, or?
Your takeaway.
Okay, do we recall any other questions from the last time, the meeting? I think, Peg, you were going to look for a list of cities and towns that participate, but
Yes.
that doesn't exist, or?
I put it out on the share drive. Did I not tell you guys I put it out on the share drive?
No, you did. Yeah.
Oh,
Read the link.
Yeah.
Yep.
because it's highly possible I didn't. And it's not exhaustive, but it's a lot. I mean, it's probably more than we could call and reach out to. So,
Okay.
you know, that's what I came up with. And I think, you know, a few of them we've already reached out to. There's like 5 or 6. I don't know how many, Joe, you've done, or JP. You know, we could kind of consolidate who we've already reached out to, and then everybody maybe take 3 and make some phone calls, and that would be a pretty good coverage, I think, to get some data.
Peg, do you want, like, you know, I only reached out to one time so far. Like I said, it was Lincoln. Do you want me, or do you need to add to that spreadsheet? Do I have the ability to do that? To add?
You can, yep.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
So I'll go in there and add Lincoln as contact.
Okay, yep.
Say, Peg, one thing that I wanted to make you guys aware of on that shared drive, basically I put together a list of questions, and I went out to a couple of different, you know, cities and towns in Middlesex County where I used to live. And so if you guys who are going to be contacting folks, if that might be helpful, it's out on the shared drive.
Yep.
It's a Word document under, you know, like tax work-off questions or something to that effect. But the long story short is I talked to the people who run the program in Framingham and in Natick, and spent some time on the phone with them and asked them a whole bunch of questions to try to get a sense for what are the parts of the program that work for them, and, you know, where did they have issues. And so it might be a template, you know, for us to use when we go out and talk to people.
Oh, I see it. I just found it. I will share it ever so briefly.
Say again?
I'm going to share it ever so briefly.
Sure.
Can you guys see that, or no? Maybe I'm not sharing it.
Here it comes.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. So this is what you're talking about, Joe?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it was
no, I
just-
think it, yeah, if we ask all the same kind of questions. Yeah.
That is helpful.
And then if you go down to page 2, the last question is sort of like, you know, what do we really need to know to, oops.
Yeah, it's, you know, come on, I'm old. Hang on.
There it is.
Am I still sharing?
Mhm.
Okay.
And if you hit 2,
Could just
You know, it seems like
there
it
we
would
go.
be easy, but, you know, there you go.
yeah, one of the things that I found in talking to the lady from Natick is that they're paying in excess of $1,500. It's almost $1,600.
How is that possible?
Well, that's a good question.
Maybe they take it out of their own money. Interesting.
But there was another, I think it might be in Framingham, people were, you know, they have on the 1099, they classify people as independent contractors, but yet they're making some contribution to something called OBRA, O-B-R-A. And
Right.
so the 1,500 comes, or no, I think in Framingham, they started at 1,000. So it's really somewhere like, goes down to like 900 and something. So a little bit of money does come off the top for
Yeah.
tax.
Because the most they can take off their tax, you know, obligation is $1,500. So even if they are making more or paying more or working more hours, they're still only cap out at 1,500.
Right.
So what do we want to do then for our next meeting? Do we want to kind of take the spreadsheet and pick, you know, like, or assign 3 cities for each of us to kind of go after, and then we bring back our data to the next call? Because I think what we want to do at this point is just amass kind of more knowledge about the nuts and bolts of how to operate this.
No,
I agree.
I'd love to report what I've discovered, if I may.
Okay.
But I wanted to share the screen.
I have stopped sharing, so you should be able to do it.
Oh boy, now where are we?
Are you on a laptop?
I am on a laptop. And
Go all the way to the bottom
screen.
middle.
I have share screen.
Go all the way to the bottom, JP.
Yeah, I've got share screen.
Green. Yep.
And I've just highlighted, and let's see.
Click on it. Okay.
Did that show up?
Good now.
Yep.
Yep.
Only does it, can I control it? Yes, I can.
Yeah.
All right. So if I may, it seems like the communities I spoke with, and I spoke with Greenfield, I spoke with Marlborough, I spoke with Mansfield, Massachusetts, and they were all great. That they all use a lottery if they have too many people, so that kind of made sense. And some of the communities have actually suspended operations during the COVID crisis, and others haven't. And in Greenfield, they actually have greeters at the door of the municipal building, and that I thought was a pretty interesting use of services, where workers met the people coming into the building at the municipal building. They grabbed the documents that have to be run into the building, bring any documents outside the building. Nobody has to go inside to spread any of the potential virus.
That's great.
So that's one of the things that Greenfield's doing. The range I found was between $500 and $1,500 for the most part. There were library workers, swap shop workers, DPW workers, police, fire, GIS, computer mapping, which I thought was interesting, that somebody had the skills and they did that. Voting. Folks were used to help with the voting work. Information technology departments, depending on the skills, computer literacy, and work being done to maintain conservation trails, walking trails, assisting garden clubs to clean up and make the city attractive. Let's see. One community was developing a data safety manual for the community, which I thought was pretty detailed, but someone was able to have some specific expertise and be able to bring it to bear. Library, office work, school, payroll departments, cost accounting. The departments were really quite expansive, that the possibilities. And some communities split the workload into 2 segments. And that kind of led me to the thinking about, well, what if we did like October, November, and December, and January, February, and March, that way you only have 1 training session. You bring your volunteers in, everything kind of flows with a schedule. They all get oriented at once. They start, you can monitor the program. It's pretty intensive in the management in the beginning of the, can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. It's pretty intensive.
JP, I'm confused. Which city are you talking about now?
I'm kind of amalgamating the 3 of them to kind of get the highlights of what I learned. So I don't have, I can look it up if it's important to find out which ones do what.
I guess I'm sort of looking for, what are some of the problems they've run into and how have they addressed those problems?
Yeah, and then I'll get to some of that in a moment.
Okay.
Let's see. Just to go on, the councils on aging, Brendan, seem to be the ones that do most of the coordinating of programs. I'm sorry to say, but that's really laid very heavily on everyone that I talk to. They didn't. No one I encountered had an income requirement, but that's a possibility if one wanted to set it to a threshold for income. But no one does it. I'm not sure. I think that's something we can work on and kind of figure out. The training process that they have to go through with state ethics, conflict of interest, hold harmless agreements, open meeting law, and apparently I haven't encountered this in my work, but an I-9 form for Homeland Security, requiring 2 forms of ID. So all of that, when I say if you did it okay, we're going to have the program start and we're going to do all of this, all of that can kind of get managed and done in an efficient fashion. And one aspect of pre-screening that was really important was that everyone be counseled at initial screening that this might have an impact. Now, I mean, if we were able to do the tax thing with the $1,200, 600 in one calendar year, 600 in the next, this wouldn't apply. But if you do have a tax implication, folks have to understand that up front, because one of the problems is on the back end when they end up with their 1099 or W-2, and they go to their accountant and they find out, oh my gosh, this has affected this eligibility for this program or that program. That can be really critical information to have. Some other things that we learned. Let's see. Bear with me a moment. If it isn't always going to work out with a new worker. And that was very interesting because things don't always work out with new workers for any job. I know oftentimes you have like an 80% failure rate till you find somebody, 75% failure rate. And then you eventually get somebody that works out. Hopefully we can do better. But one of the steps that a couple of different programs did was they had their initial pre-screening. They then tried to match jobs with the right people. And one of the things they said was the right worker, the right job, and the right time. That was counseling that was done in advance with the applicant and with the either the supervisor or the department head. And they were both prepped for the situations that it may not work out. It may be the wrong, not the right job, the right person, the right time. So that kind of counseling and then immediate follow-up after the program starts and folks get going, like the first or the second day, someone has to be calling the worker and the supervisor, department head, so that they can get a chance to kind of nip things right in the bud if it doesn't seem to work out before things turn really sour. We can make an adjustment and someone can maybe fit somewhere else. So those were kind of and some tips that help to make successful programs. Every person I spoke with was very positive from the COA position, from the COA. And I did speak with the city clerk in Greenfield, Kathy Scott, and they seem to very much like the program. And so I really can't stress any greater, the right worker, the right job, and the right time. And I think we can make this successful.
JP, did you talk to other cities as well?
I'm sorry?
Did you talk to other cities besides Greenfield?
I talked to Greenfield. I talked to Marlborough. I spoke with Mansfield, Massachusetts.
Okay. I just want to mark it down here so we know who's talked to whom.
Right, and I can follow up and send you some names and numbers if you need to document that.
Meg, just out of curiosity, you said you could edit that, right? Because I was trying to go in there and add.
Because I'm in there now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry.
Just to jump in, JP, you were saying that the people you spoke with didn't have any income requirements. Westfield does. So their current is that for, let's see, for a single household, their limit is $37,470 gross income, including Social Security. And for a couple, it's $50,730, also gross income, including Social Security. And I do know, like on the paperwork that I got from Tina, they require a copy of the applicant's latest tax return in order to verify the income. So it's just one municipality that does, you know.
Right. If we don't have to do it, and then it becomes something that is a little less of an administrative, another administrative task we don't have to do. But there is the benefit of making sure that the monies are going to a certain segment of the population. So that has to be balanced, and I think we'll have to address that question.
So does anybody run a Corey check?
Yes.
Corey check, yes. Absolutely.
I mean, did you mention that in?
I did not mention Corey check, but that's something that I think absolutely has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to kind of go along with what you're saying, Beef, with the Lincoln, they didn't have income eligibility either, and their philosophy was, you know, they felt that there could be people outside of a certain percentage of the federal poverty level who have their own financial burdens, and to exclude those folks, you know, they felt like it would open up more opportunities, and, you know, for people, just because you don't fall within a certain bracket doesn't mean, you know, you're not dealing with, like I said, financial hardship. So, I mean, but I do see the benefit of also having income eligibility, so I understand both sides.
Good point. A certain set of people will have other financial hardships that may not be reflected by a certain income level.
Yeah, I mean, we see it here all the time in the senior center, where someone is just outside Medicaid eligibility or getting subsidized health insurance, and they're getting slapped left and right with costs, you know, or, you know, living expenses in general. So it is totally possible, and I see it here every day pretty much. So I get it.
And I think it also, if you don't have that income requirement, it expands somewhat the support for the program. The idea that, well, this is bigger than just a certain segment of the population in terms of numbers. The more, the less income requirement, the more you have an opportunity to include additional people. And I think you also have an opportunity to include different skill sets, like someone who maybe have been very gainfully employed in their career and could be doing some special report for the city that really could be done in a very an economical rate of minimum wage. And yet, if we had to contract the job out, it could cost 10 times that amount. So I think it gives us some flexibility, but we'll have to, I think, revisit that question.
It's coming up on 7 o'clock right now. Would you guys like to keep going?
I can't.
Okay.
But, you know, the only thing I'd like to get out of this before we completely close is who's going to talk to whom going forward. I feel like all of us should make some phone calls to bring more data to the table. And so I just wanted to kind of make sure we were all on board with that. And if not, that's cool too.
Well, why don't we, can we go into the list in Google Drive and like, I could put my name next to 3 type thing, or, I mean, how is the easiest way? And I'm only thinking, I mean, one person could just divvy up 3 to everyone, but I'm thinking a lot of people have already established some contacts with certain, you know, municipalities. So I don't know if it makes more sense to kind of just put the list out there and, you know, start with, I don't know, start with you, Peg, and, you know, you write it in or whatever.
Yeah, so that was kind of what I was doing just now. I put you next to Westfield, Jen, just because I think you have most of the info, which is why I was asking you, JP, kind of, why did you say Mansfield?
I said Mansfield, Massachusetts, yes.
Oh, all right, look at me. So again, these are not all of them, so if there are other ones out there, but if we could divvy up some of these, then that might be a good start. If you guys want to go that way.
Sure.
So does anyone have strong feelings one way or the other about some of these municipalities in that?
I've already talked to Framingham,
All right.
and I talked to Natick too, and I don't see Natick on the list.
We probably don't, because it's not exhaustive. Okay. Did you talk to Sterling or Pittsfield, Joe?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I maybe was going to and didn't get around to it because I have their contact info. Okay. So, thoughts on any of these? Does anyone have, I mean, we could just go down the list and put names down if you want to do that. Okay, that's what we'll do.
Actually, put me down for Wellesley, since those three cities are all in the same area.
Where is it on? Oh, here it is.
Wellesley, yep.
All right. A lot of these are in kind of the general same vicinity. They must have all colluded.
Any on the Cape?
Yes. Nantucket, Yarmouth. There were some other ones. Southwick. We can do that one. Who wants Southwick?
I'll take Southwick.
Was that you, Jen?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just randomly.
And I'll do either Holyoke or Springfield. Pick one. I don't care.
I already have. Does Holyoke have it?
It's on the list.
Yes.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
God, my eyes. Where is it?
Uh,
Oh, I see it. 37. Okay. Who would like Holyoke?
I'll take it.
Brendan? Okay, what, did you already talk to somebody, Brendan?
Yeah, it was Lincoln, which I don't think they're on the list.
Okay. Whoops. All right. All right. Since we have a contact name here, Jay, would you mind calling Sterling? I don't even know where they are.
Be happy to.
Near Worcester.
Okay. How about Sterling and Pittsfield? Because there's at least an email and a phone number.
Sounds great.
Okay. Stanley? Do you have, did you use Stan? Just whatever?
Yep.
Okay. I'm mixing it up on you. Okay. And where's Plymouth?
South Shore,
Plymouth County.
Okay.
south
South of Boston.
south of Brockton,
Okay.
north of Mansfield, near the Cape.
Okay.
It's
It's on the water. Plymouth
Say-
Rock.
There's a rock there, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. You can tell I'm not a native. Okay. What else?
I'll take
Okay.
Fairfield.
Garfield? What?
Fairfield. Oh, wrong state. Okay.
Jay, I'm going to give you Norwood
Okay.
for no apparent reason.
I'll find out where that is now.
It's near Dedham.
Oh,
I have family in Dedham and Norwood.
I'm just
Okay.
random, but you can sign me up for, I don't know, Chelmsford.
I think that would be good. I mean, I don't want to load anybody. I think that's good. And that way, and I'll assign myself some additional players too. And then we can kind of figure out, I think it would be good if we use that questionnaire that Joe put out there just to kind of get uniform answers to a degree, and then whatever else we can uncover.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
What you will likely have to do is go to each of their city websites and do a search on senior tax Workoff and find the director or whatever of it. It's probably the COA for all of them, but one. So
did these towns and municipalities end up on this list because we know for certain that they had a senior tax Workoff program, or was this just random? I gotta ask,
They haven't.
Okay. All right. Because I thought at one point we were questioning whether or not.
I just went down the list of cities in the state, and I said, well, they haven't.
Well, I'll find out soon enough, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, at least they had it. I mean, maybe they got rid of it in the last year, but they had it at one point. There is no list on any of the state websites or anything that just lists everybody who has it. So you have to kind of go to each city and look it up. Sure.
Yep.
So, all right. That's all I can provide for today, and then I need to run. But
quick question: do you want me to follow up with Jeff Bagg regarding the CBDG block grant?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, I will do that. Everyone else has different assignments for communities. Any other assignments?
I'm going to talk to the assessor, Lori, and just kind of see if I can get some information about, demographic information, see how many elderly residents we have. Do we want to venture into veterans, or want to keep it just elderly senior for now?
I have an opinion about that for the time being. I think to kind of get the ball rolling and off the ground, if we focus, and I think we need, that's my opinion. Others may have a different opinion. And then I think there will be a request to move forward with other segments, either a larger population, move to veterans, include more.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think at least, for the startup, we should focus on, seniors and yeah. Yep. I agree.
There is a separate veteran
exemption.
exemption that's available. So
yeah. Oh, not mine.
Not mine.
I try to sit outside. I got my neighbor mowing the lawn, my dog barking. I'm like, I can't win.
Okay.
All right.
Next, are we going to keep it at 4 weeks for the third Thursday?
Yeah. So I had the 17th of September.
The what?
17th of September. But to Jay's point, do we want to meet sooner, or is that still good? Because we're going to have a proposal ready by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, I think we talked last time. I think we talked about doing, just one August, but then I think we were talking about probably jumping to 2 per month.
Yeah, just
after that, or every 3 weeks or something like that. We did kind of explore.
We could go to every 3 weeks.
And I'm not here on the 10th, so you could meet without me. Trust me.
No, we'd love to drag you in, Peg.
No coups here.
Escaping.
So we could do the 17th and maybe the week of the 27th, because I got 2 dogs having surgery in September, so I got stuff. So the 17th, assuming I do have a lot of stuff going on, but we could leave it the 17th and then maybe early the week of the 27th. Oh, because we don't have city council either of those following 2 weeks.
Yeah, that could work for me. I mean,
Say, Peg.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm going to try to do with that form, basically, I'm going to use that as a data collection instrument. And when I finalize it, I'll sort of type it up and then put it back up on the shared drive. So everybody's got access to everybody's information, right?
Perfect. Yep. Absolutely.
and do you want the documents that we receive from these different towns and municipalities to be uploaded into a specific folder?
I mean, we had been, and we've been creating, like, within the senior tax work-off, we've been creating folders for like Northampton, but that might get to, anywhere we can get them up there in some sort of a logical way would be helpful if we have something. And I can go through and create another folder for each town and see where that takes us.
Okay.
So back to September. So the 17th and maybe the 30th, maybe? Does that work for anyone or all of y'all?
I'm sorry, what was it?
What was the second date?
The 30th of September?
Today.
The Wednesday?
Same time, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That works for me.
We often end up with finance committee.
That would be the 23rd.
Okay, I mean, then typically.
Yeah. Well, we usually meet the Wednesday after city council, but we don't meet 2 weeks in a row.
Typically.
I'm not meeting 2 weeks in a row.
Well,
So.
You know the mayor will submit some.
I just want to get to the city council meetings in September. That's my goal. If I can hit both of those, it's a success.
You'll be doing great. That sounds good.
I am not looking forward to next month. Okay.
What is the
The dates
proposed
were
time?
the 17th and the 30th.
Those are on the table, yeah.
Brendan?
I just was curious, when, I know we spoke about it last meeting, but when would what would we come across for a deadline to propose this to city council?
So Jen, I think it's predicated on when you get like the initial budget numbers. I mean, because you'll have to insert into the plan the proposed abatements.
Correct.
And calculate that on. So is December too late? Is January too late? Like,
I think that we should shoot for having it finalized by December. And then, because what do you see as a process once it gets to, like, once the mayor gets it, then she would have to put it forward to council.
Yes, yes. Well, I think largely it's going to fall to her.
Right.
It's her deal. So there's a couple of things I see that we need to do. We're going to have to kind of put a straw man plan together and talk to some of the department heads and get them kind of excited. Because if they're excited, she'll be fine with it. If they hate it, she's not going to like it. So we have to get them excited about it. And so sometime either in October, I would say October, we should plan on those two meetings to bring in some department heads to kind of talk to them about it and get their feedback on thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm willing to work with you all on this. And then we kind of package it together with this, with the data, the financial data. This is what we propose. This is how much hours, this is how many people, this is how much it will be, and facts and figures. And then if we can have some testimonials or some things from the department heads, and then maybe some job descriptions, package that up and tell her it's going to be a pilot. Here's how we see it running. Brendan will be the director of it because he's just so psyched about that. And then, then we just hand it to her and say questions. But I'd like to have enough time where she can rebut and then we can respond, kind of thing. So I would say early December so we can have a couple of weeks of back and forth if we have to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because we start meeting with all the department heads in terms of their budget, like beginning of February.
Yep.
So to know yay or nay by like the end of January would be great because then, you know, I'll know what we're working with in terms of figures.
So why don't we set early December for like the presentation to the mayor? And then we'll back that up to meet with department heads, get it all put together. So that leaves us, if we're going to meet twice a month, 2, 4, 6 meetings before we probably have it to a place where we can present it to the mayor. Roughly. Which I think is completely doable. I mean, we have a lot of data.
Yeah.
Now it's just putting it together and talking to the department heads. I think that's really the next thing. So, so yeah, I think it'll work. So, all right, so meetings on the 17th and the 30th. And the agenda for next week, or the next meeting, Joe, will contain readouts of what we have found for this exercise. And we'll talk about what everybody has learned. I think that may take the entire hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I got.
Because we're going to have, right now we have 7 people, so 7 times 3 would be about 21 different data points, probably a couple more, in fact.
Yep.
So that's a lot of stuff to go through.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Any further business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Jay.
Jay?
Second.
Stan, seconds.
That was
All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Peg is aye.
Jay, you're an aye? Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Okay, folks, thanks very much.
thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna.
Bye.
Bye.